Hello and welcome to this episode of The Myra Chavez Show. Today I have a bilingual content creator from the Bay Area. She is a talented on-air personality who recently just launched her podcast show, A Tu Lado, with her husband in 2020.
Yep.
She uses platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, her own blog, and her podcast now to keep fulfilling her mission of empowering and inspiring women all across everywhere. Welcome.
En todas partes.
Yes. Welcome, Claudia Candelas.
No, thank you, Mayra. It's an honor to be here with you sharing my story. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And how have you been?
Pues bien, the kids always keep me busy. So it's never a dull moment for moms, right?
No, never. Getting to know you, I would like you to take us back to when you were younger, growing up, and what was it like growing up for you?
Yeah, of course. Well, I grew up here in San Jose. My parents are from Mexico. They're from Zacatecas. My mom had me when she was 19.
Okay.
So she was really young, and she got married with my dad when she was 18. Then she came to the United States. So my parents are immigrants, and she had me, and then she had my brother. So my mom was a very young mom. She had It's five of us. I'm the eldest of the five, and I'm the only woman, so I'm the only daughter in my family, and it's all boys. It's my brothers, and we're really close. We're a close family. So growing up, I saw my dad as an entrepreneur. He has his own business, and I saw him work, and it was a struggle. And being first generation, my parents always instilled in us college and the importance of going to school and getting a higher education. My mom would always tell us, yo iba a ser una nurse, and so she always instilled in us that she had all these plans and dreams, but obviously life takes its turns, and she couldn't fulfill those dreams. Pero it's up to us as the children to kind of go forward and do what our parents couldn't do, right? And they came to this country to give us the opportunities, and seeing always my parents working hard has always been my inspiration. Seeing them struggle, and sometimes people say like, well, forget about the struggle, it's move forward. But I think that the struggle helps us keep getting motivated. No, I think that we have to embrace the struggle and take it with us, and also tell our children that, now that I'm a mom, I understand what my mom went through. And I sometimes think like, how did she do it? Like, how did our moms do it back in the day cuando there was no self-care?
Yes, no self-care whatsoever.
No self-care. No. That was something that was non-existent. That was selfish.
Yes.
That was seen as selfish, ¿verdad?
Yes.
Entonces, I would ask my mom even now, like, how, you have no breaks. You had no breaks.
Yes.
You were constantly having to take care of us, taking care of the stuff at home, taking care of my dad, taking care of everything, no? That is part of what you do. Entonces, para mi mamá, ella no tenía un break de mani-pedis.
Yes.
No tenía, let me go get a facial,
I need a break from you guys.
Yeah, I need a break from you guys. Like, we are constantly having to take, right?
Yeah, and it's so important to do that, because that actually kind of recharges us, right?
It recharges us, and it's just so important. Entonces, sí, pues that's a little bit about how I grew up, as being the eldest también. I went into kindergarten not knowing any English. So even that was very traumatizing. I was 5 years old, but I still remember that first day of going into kindergarten and just being foreign to the language and not understanding what your teacher was saying, and you being so scared.
Yes.
I was terrified my first day of kindergarten, but I did not show it. I did not cry, and I was so strong. I was a fierce ass little girl, and so my
fierce
mom,
Mexican.
fierce Latina. And so that's the story I told my son when he started, pre-K. I'm like, hey, I went into school. I didn't know what the teacher was saying. You understand what the teacher is saying. So I use my experiences again as examples for my kids. And and I didn't know this, but my mom said, no, en cuanto te dejé en el salón, yo me vine llorando. And that's something that I'm like, what? Because my mom, I always say I was raised by wolves, because my mom's she's a very strong woman.
Yes.
And so for her to tell me that, and then me dropping off my son and crying my eyes out, it's like you understand your mom a little bit more when you are going through that. through that etapa, through that stage in life. So
yeah, because she was letting her little bird fly. You know, it's kind of like letting go, right?
Letting go.
That's the first stage. And how was it growing up with your brothers? Because you're oldest, the girls. How many other brothers do you have? Four
younger ones.
5.
It was freaking crazy. It was a circus, especialmente in high school.
Oh my Lord.
My brother Domingo, me and my brother Dom, we call ourselves the Irish twins because we're only like a year apart, right?
Okay.
And so we're like so close in age, so we're best friends now.
Oh,
But back then, in middle school, it was still cool.
Okay.
But in high school, when you're like trying to get your dates on and have boyfriends and all that, my brother was just the worst, the most protective.
Gosh. Well, what's one thing that you just remember he did and you're like, damn it?
So many. I can name so many. Okay.
One or two.
Well, one time I had a date for the dance. I think it was the winter dance. And I was going to meet my date there. And I only started going to dances because I joined leadership in high school. And so I was part of the planning commission that had to decorate and had to do all this. So that's the only reason why my parents let me go to the bailes, because I had to join something to be part of it so they could let me go. And so my brother goes, and so my parents say, okay, pues you can go, but take your brother with you. So I took him to the dance. I go and take my picture with the date, and he's right there next to me. So it was me, my date, and then my brother.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Dom, I'm looking at you.
Domingo.
So it era como un chicle, no? When I was throughout high school, and we just did not like each other because I'm like, you're cramping my style.
Yes.
And so now that we're older, he's the godparent to my kids, and we're best friends. I say he's a sister I never had because he loves like Sex and the City and all the girl movies, you know, and we are just like the best, uña y carne, no? And so I think it's the biggest blessing. And I always tell my mom, like, thank you for giving me my siblings.
Yes.
Thank you for the sacrifice. And I never let it go unnoticed.
Yeah. And I think minimum in the Latin community, I mean, I was also like, my mom would be like, you can't go out unless your sister goes with you. And I was also the oldest, so I think. So your mom got even more lucky because she's like, okay, your brother's going to go with you.
Your brother.
He can watch over you, make sure that nothing happens. Oh my gosh. And so fast forward, you graduate high school.
I graduated high school.
Talk to me about your college experience, because you got your undergrad and your master's.
Yeah, so college for me was not your typical college experience because, again, as first generation college students, our path is different.
Yeah.
Our path is not the regular path like other kids. I had to work while being in college. Actually, I started working when I was 17, a senior in high school.
What did you do?
And I got my first job at Cold Stone Creamery.
Ooh,
for
yeah.
$6.75 an hour. What's up? Ballin'.
That was back then.
Ballin'. Yeah, that was back then. So that was $6.75 an hour at Cold Stone, scooping ice cream, washing dishes, making cakes, and cleaning floors, and doing everything, you know, that you do while you work. And so I did that, and then I got a second job. So I was working at Cold Stone, and then I started working as a receptionist at a real estate company. Okay. And so I actually didn't go to my senior picnic because I was working. Instead of taking pictures with your friends during graduation and meeting up and getting ready together, I was working a shift. And I actually ran to my graduation because I was about to miss it because I was working. Wow. And I just got in the line and went. And so my path was definitely different. And I started researching because my parents always told me, you have to go to college, but I can't tell you how to get there. Yeah. And so I had to research. And so I researched a program called Puente that was at West Valley College. And that's one thing that I thank my dad for, is that when we graduated high school, he gave my brother a car and myself a car. And so that was his gift to us. And he said, esto es lo que yo les puedo dar, pero después de eso, you guys have to find your way. And so for that, I'm so thankful. Because even getting a un carro del año for each of us. No. You know, my dad saved and worked his butt off to give us that. But I decided to go to West Valley College. Okay. from the east side to West Valley College, that's a long way. That's like a 30-minute drive plus traffic. It's like an hour and 30.
Yeah.
And so my dad siempre me decía, ¿por qué vas a ir allá tan lejos? We live right here behind Evergreen College. Yeah. Why are you going to go that far? But my dad didn't understand that this program, the Puente program, was for first-generation college students. Okay. I was going to see people like me in the same classroom, and then they assign you a counselor. Okay. So it's a counselor. It's a class that they mandate you to take these classes, and I knew that I needed a community, so I wouldn't fall. Yeah. So I wouldn't fall behind, and so. And the perfect example is that the first semester that I was there, I got a D in one of my classes. And it's because I didn't know that when you're in college, you need to look at the syllabus and make sure that you follow what assignments are due. Yeah. It's not like high school. Yeah. You don't have your teachers telling you what to do. And so I got a D in that class because I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to look at the syllabus, you know?
So it's not because you don't want to do the work.
No, but it's porque you don't know. And so all these things was what I needed to learn. And then that Puente program helped me succeed in college because they showed me, these are the classes you take. They would make your schedule. You would meet with your counselor in the beginning and at the end, and they were with you every single week. Okay. I created a culture. Yeah. One of my best friends, Alex Cruz, is where I met him in Puente, and he's one of my dearest friends till this day. Yeah. And so you build lifelong connections with these people. And from there, I decided to major in sociology, and I transferred out of West Valley into San Jose State. Okay. I was going to San Jose State for sociology. I was working at a nonprofit helping at-risk youth graduate high school. Okay. So I was helping these kids that were in gangs, just different things that were at risk in the east side. So I was helping the 4 lowest performing schools in the east side. Okay. And a traumatic experience happened with one of my kids where I was in charge of taking them to a field trip to Great America. And we come back from the field trip and one of my students gets stabbed.
Oh my God.
And he almost lost his life. And at that moment, I felt like I was suffocating, and I'm like, I can't do this for the rest of my life because I wasn't mentally strong enough. Yeah. And so when that happened to my student, I felt so guilty and so bad that I said, I have to change my major. I talked to one of my friends and she's like, why don't you do public relations? Yeah. You would do great. I'm like, what the hell is public relations? I have no idea what it is. Yeah. And so I took a class, and as soon as I sat down and I listened to Matt Cabot he was a professor at San Jose State. Okay. He inspired me so much, and I felt like at home. I'm like, wow, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so that's where I changed my major to public relations. I graduated and I started working at Univision. Yeah. And during college, I interned with the Sharks with NBC Bay Area, and I continued working and doing my thing, and that's why I say it was very unconventional because I always had to work. I had to find my path through trial and error. Yes. And I graduated, so that was the most important part, no?
And what that teacher, just really quick, how did he inspire you, and what just?
Yeah, Matt Cabot, he was just a professor that knew his stuff. He was very inspiring, and like the way he taught, he was very passionate. And I feel like when you get taught by teachers who are passionate about what they do, that inspires you, and that gives you that like to keep going. And so even when I went back to San Jose State for my master's degree, he was one of my advisors, and he's the one that helped me throughout my thesis and all that. So I went back to San Jose State and I got my master's in mass communications, and I wrote my thesis on the importance of influencers in the Hispanic market. Okay. So I wrote a really long thesis, and I did a project on that.
And why did you decide to do that?
Because I was in the business. So after after I graduated college, I went into working at Univision. And then all while this was happening, I was also planning a wedding, and I got married at 24. As soon as I graduated college, I got married. Yes. And once I got married, then I was working one weekend. It was in the fall of 2012.
Okay.
I told my husband, I'm like, you know what? Take a picture of my outfit. It looks cute. And he's like, why? This is the weirdest thing ever. And I'm like, just do it. And so then I started posting on the weekends my outfits, and I started shooting little by little. So then I would work Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends was dedicated to my blog, which back when I opened it was called Love All Things Fashion.
But it was only your blog, nothing with the Instagram or Facebook, nothing.
It was a little bit of Instagram, but it was mostly my blog. I was writing. So the way I started my blog, loveallthingsfashion.com, was because I wanted to document our honeymoon. Okay. So we went to Europe for our honeymoon, and I'm like, I want to remember this forever. Let me write down all the cities we visited. And that's how it started. That's kind of how it sparked.
Okay.
Y ya empecé a tomar outfit of the day photos. And then in 2013, I got into grad school. And then I kept it going with fashion, pero no así tanto. In 2014.
Working at Univision still.
Yeah, working at Univision. I left Univision later that year. Okay. And I went to get my master's full time. And then I started growing it again, little by little. So it was just like a thing that was gradual. It was very gradual. I got my first sponsorship, I believe, in 2013 with Shan. Okay. And then they sponsored me again, and they were kind of like a reoccurring client. And then from there, I kept getting more sponsorships. Yes. And then it just kind of started snowballing. And then now it's like influencer marketing is huge.
Yes, it is.
And it's back in the day, I started as a blogger, and then slowly our titles changed. Mm-hmm. And so I went full time with this content creator stuff in 2017.
Okay, so 2012 you said you kind of started, and then 2017.
Yeah, and then in between all that, I started working at Telemundo. Okay. I started doing beauty segments with their show, Acceso Total. So I was doing like 6 months. I was there, and then I started doing marketing with them for another 7 months. And so, yeah, it was like
you were dabbing in everything.
I was dabbing in everything. TV has always been one of my passions as well. And so once I did all that, I got pregnant in 2016. And then that's when my son was born. That's kind of when my business took off. Okay. And it's very funny because I think that growing up, you always get told, like, or you have this image where people think, like, as soon as you have kids, pues ya se acabó todo, you can't do anything, this and that. But for me, it was quite the opposite. It was like, I feel like when they say that when you become a mom, you get superhuman powers. Yeah. And it is so true, because I just went to like another level. I became fearless. Yeah, in my own business. Ya no me daba miedo. Iba con todo, sin miedo, you know? Sí. And obviously you're going to feel uncomfortable with certain things or doubt yourself and have that like imposter syndrome.
Before we keep on going with your kids, talk to me about how you met your husband and just how you guys got married.
La historia de amor.
La historia de amor, por favor, antes de que we go into more of the business life.
So, my husband, I met him when we were 19. Yes. So I was working, one of my other jobs was at American Eagle. Yes. So I would work there, and then I met a friend, and then we went out one day clubbing, según nosotros, the 18 and up club, you know, and we took a selfie, and then she posted it on her MySpace, and then my husband was friends with her, and then he actually had gone on a couple dates with her. And so, I see you,
no
hubby,
comment,
I know.
No comment.
See, yeah. So, and so she posted the photo, and then my husband saw it, and he goes, oh man, I need to meet her. And so he texts her, and he's like, hey Jackie, I hope you don't have any more feelings for me. Can I have Claudia's number?
Yeah.
And says, "Te sinvergüenza," right? I was like, what? And so then she was like, yeah, for sure, let me ask her first to see if it's okay. Yeah. So she asked me, and then I said, yeah, sure. I was dating here and there, but I was nada en serio.
She was focused on school and jobs.
Yes, I was at the time. I was always hustling, you know, that hustler mentality. And so my husband texted me, and and we started talking here and there. We went on a date, all four of us. So he brought a friend, and then I brought my friend, and then we all went to like BJ's, and we grabbed drinks and. I didn't get ready, girl. I was wearing a hat with like a sweater, and then just jeans, Vans. I was very like West Valley.
Quiéreme como me quieras.
Yeah, you know, I had purple hair.
What?
Yeah, I was like a rock girl.
Full on?
No, like streaks of purple with blonde. So I was I was fun. It was fun.
I like that. I like that.
And so I was como it was time for the touch up. I was like, oh, my hair looks nasty. Let me put on a hat. So nothing of it. And so that night we hit it off, but like I was just like, whatever.
Yes, yes.
Then the next day I decided to text him because he didn't text me all day. So I was like,
how dare he?
Yeah. I was like, this guy's trying to play hard.
Yeah. It's not even the opposite way.
Yeah. And so then I text him. I'm like, hey, how's your day going? It was like 2:30 after school. I was getting ready to go to my job.
Yeah.
And so after that, he's like, hey, do you want to go on a date? Just me and you on Friday.
Yeah.
Y ya, entonces ese viernes me bañé, me arreglé.
No, domingo, sí, domingo, espérate.
Sí, fue el viernes.
No, espérate, tu hermano domingo.
No vino, because I think he was
busy.
He was living on campus at was he? Yeah, he was living on campus, I believe, at San Jose State.
So my brother.
My brother was at State too.
Okay.
But he was living on campus, so he was living his own thing. You know, he was doing his own thing. Entonces, my Raúl he was gonna honk to come get me, right? So I can come outside. I'm like, oh, I'm not the type of girl that gets honked at and you come outside. You know, you have to knock on the door. Mm-hmm. And so he goes,
meet my parents.
Meet my parents if they're there.
They gotta check you out.
Yeah,
sure
I'm like, what if you're a killer or something, you know? So he's like, okay, let me get down. So yeah, he comes down, he knocks on the door, and then I made sure I look cute, you know, me arreglé y todo. And so then my dad sees him, and then, you know, my dad starts talking to him. He's like, oh, you know, I know one of your uncles, your mom's brothers, I work with, you know, so then my dad knew, like, his mom's family.
Oh, wow.
Mi suegra's family, her brothers, and so Raúl was like, oh, that's awesome, this and that. So we went to go eat, I don't know, tacos at this place que ya está cerrado. That place doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
So we went to go have tostadas de ceviche o algo así, super simple, nothing fancy.
Yeah.
And then from then on, that day, he told me during our date, he goes, well, I don't want anything serious with, you know, I'm not looking for anything serious.
Right away.
Yeah, right away.
Oh, wow.
He told me, he's like, I'm not looking for anyone to be in a relationship with because I hang out with a lot of girls and they all fall for me. And I was like, chill, son. I'm not trying to be in a relationship either, you know? And so
taking it easy.
No, hombre, in 2 weeks, he asked me to be his girlfriend.
Hey, good job.
Pa que veas, you know? That's the way it is. And so, yeah, after that, it's history.
Yeah.
We have been together ever since.
So you got together.
And we got together 5 years, and then we got married.
Okay.
We waited another 5 years to have our kids. So we had been together already for 10 years before we welcomed our first son into the world.
Yeah.
Alessandro in 2017.
Yeah, Alessandro, he's 4 now.
He's 4, and then my other baby, my second baby, Matias, Mati, was born in 2020.
Yeah, a day after your birthday, right?
He was born on the 1st. He's my New Year's baby, so.
Oh, well, congratulations to your baby. So in the meantime, your husband has helped you all along with your jobs, with school.
Yeah, my husband has kind of been the one behind the scenes before I kind of started working with my photographers and things like that. But he's the one that would take all my photos. His images were featured in Latina magazine, in Cosmo for Latinas when they did some features. And so he was the one that was kind of there throughout the whole thing. And then when he was doing his music business, I was there too, helping him and whatever he needed. So
okay. And how was that dynamic? Because he comes from a group. He used to be in Suenatron. But how was it? Because you know, he's a guy, right? And there's girls, and you guys were married. So how was it? I could tell you have a couple.
No. I just got flashbacks, you know, because it's been a long time since it's gonna be 4 years, I think, since he left the band. So it seems like just yesterday, but. It was definitely something that you have to get used to because I knew he was in the music industry since I met him. When I met him, I'm like, what do you do? And he said, oh, I'm in the music. So I thought, okay, well, that's cute, but what do you do? You know? And he was just like, I'm in the music. So I'm like,
really?
Oh, shoot, okay, this is a thing.
Yes.
And so I knew. And, you know, when you're with someone that's in the industry, you have to accept it, right? Yeah. I not only accepted it, but I supported it, and I was there, you know, until the end. Yeah. And so, actually, one of the first things that they told us when he got engaged was one of his uncles asked me or told me, you know, like, hey, you know, pues, he's in the music industry. Are you going to be okay with it? And I'm like, well, I've been okay with it for these past 5 years. You know, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
And so, it was definitely challenging in its moments. You know, it was challenging, pero you navigate through it. You know, we had our ups and downs. We had our dark moments like any other couple.
Yeah.
In the music industry during, you know, the music videos where you just don't feel comfortable with certain scenes. And, you know, it's just something that you have to get used to and you live with it.
And you communicate. I bet it's so cliche, but communication is such an important thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it sounds like when you're talking about it, you were there, so that's even more important. I feel like, at least in your realm right now, that you were there supporting him.
Yeah, I was always there supporting him in whatever it was, you know.
Yeah.
And he also kind of drew the lines and said, you know, well, I feel comfortable doing this. I don't feel comfortable doing that, which was also super important.
Okay. And now that you have had kids, how has your relationship changed, and how do you
it changed so much after kids, like, you know, because we were used to being by ourselves, doing our own thing together for 10 years, and then you have kids and the whole dynamic changes. And I think that when you have children, it really does test your relationship, because you have to learn how to work together. You have to learn to have more patience with each other. You have to learn how to make time for each other, how to go on dates and not forget that you're still a couple and partners. And so I think that it's definitely been a learning experience for us. But every day you try until you get it right. And it's always a learning experience. Every day is learning with us, and being able to take turns, and you know, it's not everything on me, on the woman, on the mom. It's also you know, so it's half and half. I think that one thing that's helped us is like dividing everything in half, because we're a partnership.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. And divide and conquer is actually the way to go when you have kids, right?
You have to, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell me, what are the apps that help you the most when you're blogging, and or what are you using a lot right now that's working for you?
Well, right now it's Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and más o menos. I think I that's a young kids game, but you know, you're trying to get into it. You're learning little by little. But definitely Instagram is the #1 platform that I'm on right now. But like I said, it's always about being consistent and being creative, and it gets hard because as a content creator, you have to constantly your brain is never turned off.
Yeah.
You're always thinking like, what's next? But I've learned this year to give myself some grace, and it's okay. Like if you don't post every day, it's all about quality versus quantity.
Before you used to post how many times, and now like
every day, you know, now before, you know, when I was starting this business, it was every day. Now it's like maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Which is still not bad. It's still recommended
it's still good. Yeah. But it's the end of the year. And so for me, the end of the year is always a time for reflection and seeing what am I going to do next year, planning for next year, planning for Q1 of 2022. And that's where I'm at right now. And also with my kids starting school and them, you know, I feel like life happens sometimes and you have to give yourself that time to take care of you and what you need to do for your mental health before you can do anything else, because that's the most important thing.
Yeah. And right now, what do you use to edit? What are the things that you're liking right now?
Let's see.
Some little secrets. Just a little bit.
As a content creator, I love Lightroom on the phone. That's where I edit mostly everything. I have kind of like a filter that I use on all my images, and that's what I apply, and then I tweak it. Planoly is another one where I kind of see how my feed is planned on that app. What else do I use? I think Planoly, Lightroom are the biggest ones right now that are always on my phone. Yeah. And then InShot for videos. For Reels, since right now that's the hot thing. I film most of the Reels on my iPhone. And then I go on InShot, and that's where I edit. Or Video Leap.
And I actually thought that you did it through Final Cut, so that's really cool to know.
Oh, yeah, no, I do everything on the phone. I do everything in InShot because as a mom and you have so many things to do that sometimes just uploading all the content on your phone and editing there on the spot or at night when the kids are sleeping is so much more convenient than having to go into my office and, you know, do all that stuff at night, because that's usually when I do all my stuff.
And that's really, that is the way to go, especially as a mom, right?
Your phone is going to be...
Apps are heaven to you, right? Because you're like,
really good. You go to it, it's a one-stop shop, and you're ready to go.
All right, cool. And then you did mention on mental health. I want to get into it because I love talking about mental health. Have you been through any situation where you can share what you did, what worked for you?
I think that the time I've struggled most with mental health is after my firstborn and going through postpartum and the baby blues and all that stuff. I think as a first-time mom, it hit me really hard because I had my son when I was 30. And so I went 30 years just having to worry about myself and no one else. And then you have this whole human that you're in charge of. And that really hit me hard. And my husband was in the music at that time. So at night I was by myself. So he would go and do rehearsals at night. And so I just remember those days as being really dark, very, very lonely, and nobody can relate to what you're going through because you're, at the end of the day, it's just, you have a son and it's the time where you're not alone, but it's the time also when you feel the most alone. And nothing would help. You know, I was just always so sad and worried. I was like terrified. I'm like, what if this happens? What, you think of the worst. And so the thing that really helped me get out of that is exercise. And just being able to focus my energy on something else, something more positive. I've always been into health and all that, eating healthy, organic, and just being able to refocus my energy and know that this is only a time, it's only a season, it's not going to be forever. It really put things in perspective for me. Okay, so definitely you went the natural way. You didn't need any type of medicine. No, gracias a Dios, no. But, you know, I was ready, you know, if you need it. I'm like all for taking whatever you need to do to feel better, you know, whether it's medications or whatever it is that you need, you know. But it was definitely the baby blues. I went through it. You don't really feel normal after birth until after a year. I think right? So. It's a year. I know that a lot of moms do first birthday parties, but I think that it's great to celebrate the first birthday, but it was also a huge celebration for me that I made it through the first year. That's why I made such a big party for my son when he turned 1, because I said, this is also a celebration for me, for my body, for my mental health, for everything that I've been through this past year. I think that's pretty different in how we look at it, because that is a really cool thing to celebrate. It's not only their son's birthday, but it is your body. That's how I felt when I was celebrating his birthday, and I made this party, and I had friends come from LA, and I had this huge, I invited everyone, it was like 100 people, but it's because I felt so happy, because I felt like myself again. Yeah, and you made it over the hump. And you made it over the hump, and it only... He's alive. He's alive, and he's good. He's thriving. He's thriving, eating. You know? So yeah. That's the most important thing. I'm glad you got over it. And it's something normal that a lot of moms go through. A lot of moms go through. And if you're going through it, it's okay. It's just the season. It will pass. You got this. And if you need help, I mean, definitely there's always resources. Exactly. And so that was a little stage for me. But what do you do when you're... you know, having to put out content and you're just not feeling it? Oh, like, I don't do it. I don't do it. Okay. If I am not feeling it, if I'm in a funk, I think the best way for me is to disconnect. So I will disconnect completely. And I'm like, if this is causing me stress or anxiety, it's not worth it. So I just kind of leave the phone, and I will leave it for days at a time. And I'll only check my emails. But I think the most important thing and aspect of this is, if it's causing you stress, just don't do it. Ignore it. You know, as a content creator, you need a couple days to refocus. And that's the way that I get inspired, is by disconnecting. Not by looking up other people what they're doing. It's by disconnecting, Okay. And like I said, you know, I create content to fit my lifestyle. I don't live my life to create content. And that's really important for me. Can you say that again? Yeah, Can you say that again? You know, I feel like it's sometimes people put out these facades or these fake things just for the gram, or just to portray a certain thing. But for me, it's the opposite. You know, if I have something going on, I will post about it, you know, and it's just what's going on at that moment. And I think that's important, is to not let it get to your head, to always stay humble, to help people, because that's what I'm all about, is being able to inspire. If I can inspire one woman, I've done my job.
Literally, right? That's so cool.
Yeah.
And as you're going and you're being a mom and fast forward, what was the campaign, if you want to, if not you can just touch lightly, that you felt like, ya lo hice, I made it, like, I feel like, or I'm beginning to, like, this is it.
There's just this one pivotal moment in my career, and I don't have hundreds and thousands of followers, you know, I don't have millions of followers, but the community that I've built, I'm proud of. And I know that clients and companies that I've worked with see that. And for me to have clients believe in me and know that, like, okay, let's invest in her, it just makes me so happy. More being a minority, being a Mexican American woman, it feels very amazing. And it's something that, it's like a feeling you can't describe. But I did get flown out by a brand a couple of years ago, and I was on, you know, I was in New York City, so it's like this huge city.
That's huge.
Flew me out, and, you know, I was getting a car, I was in an Uber to the hotel, and I had, how old was Alecha was like 10 or 11 months.
Okay.
And
that's a baby.
I left him, with my husband, and I went on this work trip, and then I was on the phone with another huge diaper brand that was trying to negotiate a year contract with me. And so at that moment, you know, when I was on the phone negotiating deals on a flight with another brand, that's when I was like, wow, this shit is happening. I am creating the business that I've always wanted. And then that brought reassurance. And I said, I must be doing something right, because I always ask God for signs. Because sometimes you doubt yourself, and you doubt whether you're in the position, or you doubt your path. And for me, I always say, like, God, if I'm in the right place, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like, please send me signs that I'm, like, on the right path. And I'm constantly asking him for signs to keep going. And this was one of them. And I thought, okay, I must be doing something right. Let's keep going. And that's the moment that I felt, wow, badass.
Yes, good job, man. And
sí se puede.
Sí se puede. And the fact, how nervous were you with this brand that flew you out to New York? Like, were you, like, super nervous? Were you like, okay, I got this?
I think I was nervous, but I think that the moments that I feel most nervous is when I get flown out to do different campaigns with brands, and that you're doing this type of stuff on camera. You feel very nervous, and you doubt yourself, like, am I supposed to be here? Am I good enough? And I get a lot of those thoughts all the time, but it's things that I just have to get by them and think, okay, if they believed in you, what makes you have to believe in yourself. If another person believes in you, you just have to put all your money on yourself and all your faith in yourself that you can do whatever it is that you want. And it's all about hard work, consistent, because it's been years of tears and blood, sweat, todo, no? Everything. And you just have to keep going. And if you're not happy where you're at, then tomorrow's another day.
I think that the next question I was going to ask is, what advice you have for entrepreneurs? And I feel like you a little bit, I mean, you pretty much touched base on it right now, speaking about yourself too. But what else would you tell another entrepreneur?
Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. You know, when I first started in this industry, in this content creator industry, where we weren't even known as influencers, we weren't content creators. That title was non-existent. I invested in myself. You know, I went on Craigslist and I looked to see who was selling a camera. I was working in San Francisco at the time, and I wanted to invest in a Canon to be able to take better quality photos and all that good stuff. And I found this guy that was selling a Canon for $300. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to meet up with him in San Francisco. How sketchy does that sound? Meeting up with a guy on Craigslist in San Francisco. It's so sketchy, but I betted on myself, and I was smart about it. I'm like, let's meet at the train station because I need to catch a train to come back home. So I met him, exchanged the money, you know, public, got my camera, and boom, that's where it started. That's how I started taking better quality images. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself. If we can invest $6 a day on a pinche latte, then you can invest that money on yourself.
Yes.
And I think that's really important is, when you start, people will doubt you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in 2012, 2013, and my mom would be like, ¿Qué estás haciendo? Oh, taking photos of my outfits. Pues, ¿por qué? Well, you know, you get all these doubts from people. Yeah. But when they see that things start happening for you, then it's like, oh, wow.
Okay, I believe you. I believe it.
You know? Yeah. And this year was, I was able to score multiple 5-figure deals with brands. And I am so proud because when you make that, even if it's like $5 on making that money on something that it's your own thing, that it's your own business, it just the money hits differently. And I think that it's just something that I'm so proud of, and that I'm able to work here and create content for women that inspire and empower, and while being here with my kids. So I think that if you're trying to do this business, is not giving up, investing in yourself, and networking. You know, I networked a lot. I met with I would go down to LA to different events all the time when it started.
For free. So you would spend your own time, money, everything.
Yes. And there's been events that I went to that I found out that other girls were getting paid and I was not.
Yeah.
And it's just those trial and error things that happen, you know, because you don't know the industry. This is fairly new. So even negotiating deals with brands is tough because you don't know what am I worth? What's my value? But you always aim high. Whatever you do is, don't be afraid to charge, to know your worth and add taxes.
Yeah. And then you did your research. And then did you have anybody else besides your husband, like really guiding you, like somebody that was really in the blogging and the community?
You know what? No, because we were all new.
Yeah.
So we all kind of have this community between the Latina content creators, and if we have questions, we'll message each other, you know, things like that. But I think the person that kind of helped me also was Diana. She's the person that was my right hand woman. Now she took her own path. But
what is Diana doing, or what is she doing?
Right now, she's working for the county, I believe. So she's doing her own thing, and I'm so proud of her because we needed each other at that moment. So when I hired her, I think it was in 2018, and she would go with me on trips. I would create content. She would edit my stuff for YouTube.
Yes.
So she was my assistant. She was my friend. She's my friend. So I think that having people like that in your corner also are very helpful, people who believe in you. And I will always forever be grateful. She actually just helped me film a campaign with the brand a couple months ago. And I called her. I'm like, Dana, I need help. She was there. She's one of the most hardworking people that I know. And it's just really, I feel very blessed to have found her. And I think that when you have those types of people that believe in you, besides your partner, it feels very fulfilling. And I have mentors all kinds. And like my mentor from Univision, David Padilla, who will message me here and there, and he's like, I always told you if I had to put money on someone, it'd be you. And so those people that are in your corner, it always feels good to have. So
that's what I was going to ask you right now, your mentor. So that's really awesome that now, even though you're growing, you still have mentors, you still have your group where you can call and say, hey, I have a question about
absolutely.
this.
And even like my comadres, the ones that I do segments with for Un Nuevo Dia, which is Hoy on Telemundo. Janet and Romelia. Even we will get on calls and, hey, this and that, what's going on here? How much did you get paid for that? Because como digo, if it rains, we all get wet.
Exactly. And you genuinely care about each other.
Yeah, you genuinely care about each other. And I will tell, no, amiga, you're charging too little. Charge more. And so I think that's important to have too, is like people in your corner. And the Latina community of creators, it's not that big, if you really think about it, we're a small community, and todas las gringas help each other out the same. So it's like, why not us?
And you guys are still growing. So imagine
everyone's growing.
We're just going up, you know?
Yeah, and it's just, making sure that if you want this, you have to be able to work for it day in and day out, on bad days, on good days, and not give up. You know, if you have humps and you're not posting for a couple months or a couple days, weeks, whatever, get back on the horse, you know?
Yeah. So right now we are in the season, the holidays, and I wanted to talk to you. What is in season right now, and then what is coming up? Spring, summer.
Oof, I haven't researched the spring and summer yet, pero I think right now for the winter, I am just like loving everything that has to do with like feeling comfortable and cozy. The faux leather.
Oh, yes,
I love the plaid, the pearls. Está súper a la moda right now, amiga. And so I think just those comfy clothes, they're always in season, no?
Yeah.
And I think that as moms, you always look for clothes that are comfortable. Leggings will always be our best friend.
Leggings
and just
are.
making sure. I love styling leggings with like long kimonos, long cardigans, chunky cardigans, and adding ese sazon, no? Like with a little bit of style, with the beanie, with caps. That's like my go-to style right there.
Cute on the go style. I mean, and then from you are very colorful in your spring and summer. So no matter what, I know there's going to be color.
Yes. There's always color. So I'm excited for that, you know, to bring the colors. And then I think the other trend that I really liked is how people were styling like bathing suits with clothes, like shorts or like, you know, with like a cute top. So I think that's gonna be super cute for the summer. So we got to get our summer bodies going here.
Oh, we gotta call Maria. We gotta call from Colombia Mafia Fit. So touching really based on your self-care and talking about Maria, I want to talk to you. As part of your mental health is exercising. Yeah. You lost weight with Colombia Mafia Maria.
Yeah, with Maria. I wish I would have found her with my firstborn.
I know, right?
I found her in 2020 during the pandemic, where with both my pregnancies, I've gained like 50 to 60 pounds. So they've been hefty pregnancies, and I lose them as soon as I have the baby. I'll lose them within like a year. Yes. But I think Maria really helped me tone my body to the next level. She is badass. I love her. She's amazing. Yes. And the way that she empowers us to keep going, you know, to fire that bitch.
To think positive, and believe in yourself. Yeah,
to believe in yourself and to just know that you could do it. You know, if we were able to carry our children for 9 months and then give birth and then go through all the after effects, you can get through a 30 to 60-minute workout, no problem.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And besides workout, what else do you do?
I think that the regular self-care, you know, working out. I love going on hikes to Montgomery Hill. You know, it's like a hill by my parents' house, taking the kids, getting your mani-pedi done, facials, doing a Target run by yourself.
Yes.
That's like magical, right?
Just saying those
words made me feel better. So it's just things like that, the small things that you take for granted before you were a mom that you just absolutely love now.
Yeah.
And just taking time for yourself and knowing that self-care isn't selfish. It's for yourself, because if we feel good as women, then we are able to be better moms, better wives, better everything. So
I agree.
It starts with us.
Agree. And your style as a mom, how has it changed from when you were single?
Because when I was single, I would wear platform heels and tacones de este tamaño. Now this is like as high as I get with my
you still look
tacones.
cute.
Yeah, you know, so you just kind of have to, your style definitely gets changed. It changes a lot after having kids, you know. High-waisted jeans are my best friend.
Yes. I mean, it is in. So.
Yeah, they're in, so it's okay. And so just things like that where you kind of see, like, I can't wear those things anymore, or you just, shit happens, you know?
Yes. And what do you think, now that you're turning 34, is it safe to say I can say it? I can say it?
It's okay.
Your birthday's coming up.
Yeah.
So your birthday's coming up. What would you tell your younger self or advise? Because I know it's been a long journey, so you've always been hustling.
I've always been working hard, but I think that I would tell my younger self is, don't be afraid to just go for it. You know, there's never going to be the right moment. You just have to do it now.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell myself, because I feel like sometimes I would hold back a lot, and worry about yourself, you know, like take care of yourself first before you take any care of anybody else, because that's another thing that I learned later in life.
All right. And lastly, I wanted to touch base on your podcast, why you created it. And, you know, I mean, you're doing amazing. You and your husband.
Thank you. So. Yeah. So we launched our podcast in 2020. and it was an idea that blossomed in 2017 when our son was born.
Okay.
My husband came up with the idea. He came up with the name, and I ran with it. I did the marketing. We had our friend Matt do the jingle. Our friend Omar do the logo. So we had all these moving parts with it. Yeah. Sergio, who did our headshots where I was pregnant, I have to take new ones, by the way.
Yeah.
And so it's just a lot of ideas that my husband had with the podcast. And he was like, I think it'd be great for us to tap into this market and talk about being a family, a bilingual family, raising bilingual kids. And we just ran with it. And now we're in season 2. And we're about to wrap up season 2 with we have 2 or 3 more episodes to go this season. So I think that it's been really good to us. I feel like we've inspired a lot of people, and we've gotten some amazing sponsorships from the podcast as well. And so it was a different platform and a different avenue for us to spread our message.
Yeah. And I've listened to all of those episodes.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, you talk about immigration and being an immigrant daughter, kids,
infertility.
Infertility.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And it's topics that are important that people might not feel comfortable talking about. And I have, in these next 2 episodes, I have a graphic designer, and I have a doctor, a Mexican doctor. And she gives us knowledge about, what's been going on right now in the world with the pandemic y todo eso. And then we talk to a creative director who is also a Latina Mexican American. And so I love highlighting stories from real people from the community who are making an impact and who serve as inspiration to others.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I'll keep listening, and we'll be listening to the show.
Thank you so much.
And before we go, I like to play this rapid fire game. So it's just questions.
Okay.
And go ahead and answer them. You can answer as much as you can,
as
much as you want. Okay. What is your favorite food?
I love Thai food.
Thai food?
Yes,
I thought about it.
Yes, I am obsessed with Thai food. Like,
why?
Yeah, it's just so good. Like my husband knows. Like he's like spicy. Like it's just Thai food's the best.
All right. And what do you like to listen to? What music is your favorite?
Let's see. Right now, I have Jesse and Joy, Drake, and Queen.
Wow, that's very diverse.
I know, it's very random. Tupac,
Well, you are from Cali, so you have to have Tupac. Okay.
So that's what kind of is on rotation.
Okay, and then this might be a trick question. ¿Quién es tu favorito grupo norteño?
Oh, God. If I don't say Los Tigres del Norte, me matan acá, okay? So, yes, of course, Tigers of the North.
Tigers of the North. Good. And what would you choose? Coffee, wine, or tequila?
Coffee, 1,000%. Coffee is what keeps me going.
Day and night. Well, Claudia, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Mayra. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, taking your time. Yes. I wish you nothing but the best.
Oh, thank you.
And so tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Claudia Candelas, and also you can check out my blog, claudiacandelas.com. So I'm on all platforms.
All right. And then you can find me on The Mayra Chavez Show on YouTube, and then The Mayra Chavez on Instagram. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to just keep seeing Claudia grow. And thank you.
Thank you.